Hello. After solving some dictionary exercises yesterday, and after repeating the questions that I struggled yesterday, I decided to actually step up with the difficulty once again. These are exam like questions. They're really detailed. They also make you think a lot. So this video might be long. I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna solve two questions. As you can see, they're really long. So let's begin. So the first question. In number theory, a perfect number is a number whose proper divisors sum up to the number itself. For example, 6 is a perfect number as its proper divisors 1, 2, and 3 add up to 6. Equally, 28 is a perfect number. For those reasons, I just skip it. So the number itself is excluded from the list itself. Implement the function is perfect number. So before we continue reading, let's actually define our function. If number is not a positive integer, the function returns not a positive integer. If number is a positive integer, well, let's actually first write that down before we forget things. If number smaller than 0, return not a positive integer. Simple as this. So yeah, we can continue now. If number is a positive integer, in case the parameter number is a perfect number, the function returns perfect number. Otherwise, it's perfect returns not a perfect number. Okay, so the way I would approach this number is, well, you would think like, oh, no way we can actually just one by one list all of the divisors of a number that we actually don't know yet and find out if it's a perfect number or not. Well, we can actually, I think one could say, I didn't think of this first because I thought it was inefficient, but it's actually a computer computing these, so it's not an issue. I think using for I in range function is going to be really useful here. And then we can just say for I in range number, because the last number is not going to be used anyway, so we can just use number. For I in range number, and then we can actually create a new list called L. And then if number, I think this is called modulus, I is equal to 0. So if the remainder is 0, then L dot append I. And well, this for loop is just going to do everything for us, and we just want to return the sum of L. Oh wait, we want to have another if statement. If sum L is equal to number, return true. No, we want to return is perfect number, and else return not perfect number. Okay, so this should actually do the job. So the question is actually helping us see if our code is correct. So for example, if we do print is perfect, then 6, for example, well, it should return, hold on. Why did this not work? Divisor by 0, okay. Yeah, it's, here you can see why it's actually really helpful to get an error and then read the error type. For example, division by 0 error. So we know that because we used for I in range and it starts from number 0, well, it gives an error. So let's make the for loop start from 0. So here, 6 is a perfect number according to my function, and it is correct. Now 16 should give us not a perfect number. And there we go, it's correct. Then minus 6, not a positive integer, exactly what we want. So this is fantastic. I'll just comment this out as we got what we wanted. Then let's keep on reading. Then implement a function isPerfectList. Let's define it before we continue. Which for a list of candidate perfect numbers returns if user provides as input. So returns a list of perfect numbers in a list where both perfect and imperfect numbers belong. So we also want to create another list here. And then we want to say for I in numbers, if I is perfect, I is equal to, well, we kind of want to, we want it to be a perfect number, so this is going to give us this output. So obviously if we get the same output for a specific number, it's going to give us this output. So if it is a perfect number, then ll.append I, then return ll. So let's see, print is perfect list, then we can just write this list down, and let's see if we get the correct answer. And yeah, 6 and 28, so our code was correct. Awesome. We can move on to the next question. Well, the first question was about lists, which I find a lot easier. I don't know about you guys. And the second question is going to be about dictionaries. Well, it's not only a more difficult topic in my opinion, but also the question is a lot longer, as you can see. But yeah, let's not waste more time and let's begin. The Student Association in DOSMate wants to implement an information system to support its student administration. They ask you, being familiar with Python, for support. DOSMate wants to record the Boolean, that should have been in brackets, I don't know, that confused me. Maybe I miscopied it. Anyways, implement a function add students, which has these parameters, which adds a new student to the student administration. The parameter student association is a list of dictionaries, where each dictionary represents a student with their information stored as key value pairs. Well, obviously, that's what a dictionary is. For example, for honorary member student association looks like this. Okay. Implement a function add students. Well, I see this is the same, which adds a new student to the student administration, which adds a new student to the student association. Well, funny enough, they're both the same. So let's just begin from here. Let's give us some space. Define add students. Oh wait, does it have any parameters? Yeah, of course it does. Okay. Well, we just want to see, we want to add a student, right? So logically, that student probably doesn't belong to the student association. So I would say, well, let's first see if which one is the key, the first thing. So we have a list. I would say if student ID not in student association, so that specific student, I'm thinking if student not in student association, honestly, let's just go on, because I was a bit confused, because if student ID, Python is going to check whether student ID is in the list, but it is not in the list, it's actually in the dictionary. Okay, let's see. If student ID not in student association, well, hold on, that wouldn't work. I guess I'm just gonna continue with it. It's probably wrong. Student not in student association. Where have I misspelled? Student association. And a student association, not ID, but what is next? Name is equal to name, student association. That is not what I wanted. Is that interactive mode now? Yeah, I'm in interactive mode. I always forget how to exit interactive mode. How to exit interactive mode. I don't know how I end up going there. Exit. Alright. This is kind of tedious, considering it could very much be wrong. Then we have dob is equal to dob student association, graduated is equal to graduated. Well, return student association. I don't know if this is gonna work. If the user provides inputs, the function should return this. Well, we're probably gonna get an error, so Exactly. List indices must be integers or slices. Yeah, exactly. He thinks it's a list. I don't know, maybe checking for the student is kind of not useful. Maybe I'm just really digging my own grave. It's a list. It still thinks it's a list. So what if I say student association dot append, and I try to append all of these? What if I make a dictionary called D is equal to dictionary, and then I append the dictionary, and then I actually put all of these values to D? And that's very much possible. Wait, what? Why does it not even... I don't know why this doesn't work. I actually have no clue. Why? I think I'm gonna see the answers for this one. Yeah, dictionaries are so tricky. Let's see. Well, what? I just sent my code to AI and it says it's correct. Why does my code not return anything then? Oh, I get it. Oh my god. This is a really silly mistake by me. Usually they just give the print statement to us, so I thought it had it, but honestly I was just not seeing what was in front of me. So yeah, this should be correct now. Should be correct. So is this correct? I'll just double check. Alright, good. Because it's a bit messy, sorry. I don't want to misread anything again. Apparently there's a cleaner version, as the AI suggested. So I'm just going to add it to any of you that actually want to see it. Does it give me the same? Just comment it out, I suppose. So student is equal to just the list of diction. Yeah, this is really smart. They actually did the exact same. It really is just a cleaner version. I just do that one by one. And their dictionary makes a lot more sense. They call the diction a student. And then they just, yeah, that's really smart. And they just appended. Awesome, though. I'm glad we got it correct. Okay. Next question. Implement a function get alumni names student association, which for a given student association. Why do I get red now? What? Oh, because of this. Okay, what is going on? Expected indented block after function on line 61. Oh, of course. Alright, good. I fixed the fine. Implement a function which gives, for a given student association, as a list of dictionaries, returns a list of names for all students that have graduated. For example, if the user provides the inputs, these, okay, a long list, the function should return just the names of the students. Alright, that's a short one. Shouldn't be too difficult. Well, the shortness of a question doesn't indicate anything, but it also doesn't sound too difficult. Which for a given student association is a list of dictionaries, returns a list of names for all students that have graduated. Okay, awesome. So we just create another list called L for list. Then for I in student association, I forgot to add this. Then we can just say L.append I, because it iterates over all the individual dictionaries. Name, and then we can just return L. Then that should do the job. If the user provides this input, should give us true apparently. Oh, of course, I almost forgot. I'm not falling for the same mistake again. We have to print the function. That's strange. Why did it not? Oh, of course, because the function continues. I didn't copy the whole thing. That makes sense now. I'm like, why are we getting it wrong? All right. Would end with another one. Yes, good. Okay, fantastic. Now it's finally correct. I hope this made sense. I don't think it was too tricky at all. So we can continue with the next one. I think we have 2 questions left. Okay. Implement a function, update student, and we have these parameters. For a given student ID and the key, update student updates the value associated with the key. If the key exists, the function returns a student association with the updated value. If the key does not exist as a key in the dictionary, the function updateStudent returns key not found. If student ID does not exist in the list of student dictionaries, the function should return student ID not found. Hold on, this might actually be our last question. Yeah, it is. Yes, correct. Fantastic. Before we start, I'll just tell GPT to write down these checkups. Write down these checkups. Because otherwise it's going to take too long. GPT just misunderstood me. Write down what to do. Okay. All right, fantastic. I'll also say make it so outputs are only designed to give true. Well, I like that format a lot more, so that's why. All right, great. Fantastic. Now we can begin our question. Define update student. Well, you know, if you watched the previous videos, which I don't think anyone does, but anyways, the update built-in function is actually the most challenging and tricky to understand things, in my opinion. So the moment I see update student, I know it's going to show up, so this is probably going to be difficult. For a given student ID and key, update student updates the key value associated with the key. If the key exists, the function So what is the student association? Is a list of dictionaries. Key. Okay. All right. So for I in student association, if I dot key not in I not in I what not in I dot keys maybe, because it didn't allow me to do it. Why does it not work though? That's a bit interesting. Oh, of course, because I didn't do if I not in, I return key not found. Let's see if GPT also uses punctuation though. No, it doesn't. Okay. If a student ID does not exist in the list of dictionaries, so student ID is actually a value. Okay. If I student ID not in I dot values, student ID for I in student in the list of student dictionaries. But let's say we have a specific student ID and it only shows up as the last item in the list, then it's still going to return false. Yeah. If the student ID does not exist in the list of student dictionaries, I'll come back to this later, honestly. Let's do the first step. For a given student ID and key, update student updates the value associated with the key. Do we even need a for loop? Currently I'm even questioning that. This question is so difficult. What if I'd say continue though? Continue. How does continue even work? I don't know. I'm so stuck. I really don't know how to approach this. If it's a list of items, Misty, I'm just gonna copy this. We have to go from the fundamentals. Print, I'm just gonna test something. Student association. So this is a list. Okay, I feel like I can do it with a while loop. Let's do count. No. Length is equal to. We need to know how many items there are in the student association. So then I use a while loop. While length is actually bigger than 0, then we do an if statement. But then that just does the same thing. Oh, but then it's not a problem anymore. Okay. Then for I in student association, if I key not in I, but we want to go to the student. If I key, so what are they asking us? For a given student ID, so we have a specific student ID. What is student ID called? For a given student ID and key, update student updates the value associated with the key. What does even key mean though? What is the key? Oh, okay. Oh, I see. I see. What is the student ID called within the list? It's called ID. If ID is equal to student ID, well then that is our student. So we want so that that dictionary is updated. I, well, it's updated with graduated, it becomes true, but graduated was false. Okay. So it becomes I key is equal to value. Does this even change the key or update it, I wonder? Hold on. I'll just have a look at my notes quickly. Functions. Dictionaries. Alright, let's see. Okay, location. I'm just reading my notes. You can add something, but I don't know if you can simply say you can simply change the value. I'm pretty sure you can. Like, let's just go with it. So if we found the target student ID, then we just change the value of it. But if we haven't found it, then it means we just continue. So we just go back to the for loop. And if the for loop just ends, so we just exhaust it, that means the student ID is not there. If the key does not exist as a key in the dictionary, if the student ID does not exist, then here we can just return student ID not found. What key are they talking about though? Because we're first talking about student ID, so the student ID is more important. Then if this fails as well, I think we can just return key not found. It would make sense. Return key not found. I don't even know if this is true. False, false, true. What does even continue do? Let's see. We got one of them true, but this one is false. Right, it's just checking the values. So student association, we have these, okay. Oh, of course, of course. Yeah. Hold on, stop, because I get what I see a mistake we've done. Else, length is equal to length minus 1. That is also really important. Okay, no problem. Then we just do the debugging again, because I think that is something really crucial. Did we even get true at the end again? Okay, whatever. So we just do the same. Length is equal to 2, so it keeps running. For I in students, student association, if ID is equal to student ID, well, student ID is 450, which isn't, then it should go to else. Length is equal to length minus 1. And continue. Then it goes to the same loop. Okay, this is exactly what I wanted to happen. Now we have for student association, okay. Now I is equal to 4,500, exactly. And student ID is equal to this. Now this shouldn't go to else. Exactly. So it should change it, the key. So I key, what is the key here? It's graduated. So it should make, so graduated equals true now. Exactly, graduate does equal true. Wait, hold on. I wish I could see the whole student association, but it returns student. I see. I see. I think I get what we've done. We actually don't return anything here. Here we should return student association. And this way the second one becomes true as well. This is fantastic improvement. Okay, so debugging really helps, as you can see. We just solve this problem step by step. Then our problem is the second one, and the second one being the key not found. So the key not found one never actually triggers. I see. That is strange. Well, the order doesn't work, I guess. So I could just make other if and else statements. I don't know. I'm kind of stuck here and I'm not even doing bad. How could I even fix this? Now it's both false. Oh my god. That's scary. Now we have true, false, straight. So we have that key not found actually never triggers. How can we even check for the key? I see. Because the for loop ends, it always returns student ID not found. But what if I say, what if I add another if statement here? I know it's getting really complicated, but if length is equal to 0, so if everything is exhausted, then it means student ID is not found. That's what it means. And obviously, if the length is not equal to 0, well, we're going to continue. But so if I put this here, it's still true, false, true. I wonder why. I think we can solve this with debugging though. I think I'm getting closer and closer. So we do the same. So we know we're going to get true. In the secondness, we should get key not found, because we don't have the key. What is our key? Let's check that first. Apparently it's called birth date, which it's DOB instead of birth date. So because that doesn't exist, it should give us. But hold on, because length is now okay. Oh my god. This is melting my brain. We have true, false, true, true, false, true. Because it anyways returns student ID never found. That should be something more specific. We're still in the I loop, right? I really don't know how to fix this issue. This already got, I don't know, maybe I've been solving this for 40 minutes. It's the last question, but I don't know how to solve this. It's probably something to do with indentation. But then we're gonna deal with the same I. So what if instead of length, if I dot if I dot ID I dot keys ID in I dot keys, not in I dot keys. So we're gonna find the ID at some point anyways, right? Or hold on, if key not in here, return key not found. Well, because I mean, we literally went through all of them. It's likely that the key is going to show up in the list and it takes higher priority, I think. Well, the key should show up. We can't have more than 2 errors. So it continues. But then else, if the for loop fails, we have this. And we get it true, finally. Oh my god. What an insane question. I can't believe I solved this on my own. This is insane. What a confusing question. So complicated. I'm glad I solved it myself though. This gives me a lot more hope that I'm actually improving. Because like, I have to be honest, I solved these questions like several times, but I'm still struggling with them, and many times I actually got support from GPT, but this time I haven't at all. I didn't even look at my notes that much. I mean, I did, but it wasn't helpful. So the fact that I did it myself with my own problem solving, it gives me lots of hope. Awesome. I hope this was helpful for you. And if you watched it till the end, thank you so much. And yeah, see you later. Bye-bye.